3 years ago, Brandon had everything. A house, a steady job, a family. Today he owes money to people he can't pay. And the strange part, his collapse didn't happen in one moment. It happened one small decision at a time. Brandon Hayes was 38, tall, quiet, dark circles under his eyes. He worked as a project manager for a logistics company in the United States. Nothing glamorous, but stable. His life followed the same routine for years. Wake up early, drive to work, come home to his wife, dinner, television, sleep. It was a normal life, predictable, safe. But sometimes, the biggest storms begin in the calmest places, and Brandon's storm started with a single sentence. One evening, his wife said something he never expected. "I can't do this anymore." 2 weeks later, she left. At first, Brandon told himself it was temporary, just space, just time. But the silence in the house became unbearable. Rooms that once felt warm now felt empty. The kitchen table, the couch, the bedroom, everything reminded him of what he had lost. Sleep became difficult. Nights became longer. And slowly, Brandon began spending more time outside bars. Late nights, one drink became two became five. It felt like relief. Temporary relief, but relief always has a price. And Brandon was about to start paying it. His first mistake looked harmless. Alcohol at first, just weekends, then every evening, then every night. Brandon told himself he deserved it. Life had been unfair. He needed something to forget. But alcohol has a quiet way of multiplying problems. Bills didn't stop, rent didn't stop, life didn't pause, only Brandon did. The second mistake came a few months later. Smoking. At first, one cigarette outside the bar, then another. Soon it became a daily habit. Coffee, cigarette, stress cigarette, late night, another cigarette. Money started disappearing faster than Brandon realized. Not in large amounts, just small ones. $10 here, 20 there. But small leaks can sink large ships. Then came the third mistake. Brandon stopped opening his mail. Bills began piling up on the kitchen counter. Electricity, insurance, credit cards. Each envelope carried bad news, so Brandon avoided them. He told himself he would deal with it later, but later never came. And unpaid bills don't disappear, they grow. One morning, Brandon made a decision he would regret. He borrowed money, just a small loan. He told himself it was temporary, just to catch up on expenses. But loans don't solve problems, they delay them. For a few weeks, everything seemed calmer. Bills were paid, pressure faded, but the debt remained quiet, waiting. The fifth mistake was emotional. Brandon began isolating himself. Friends called, didn't answer. Family asked if he was okay. He said he was fine, but he wasn't. Isolation has a dangerous effect. When no one sees your problems, they grow faster. And Brandon's problems were growing quickly. Then something worse happened. Brandon lost his job. His performance had declined. Late arrivals, missed deadlines. His manager called him into the office. The conversation was short, very short. By the end of the day, Brandon walked out of the building carrying a small cardboard box. And suddenly, the situation became terrifying because now the bills had no income to meet them. But the final mistake came after that. Instead of stopping, Brandon kept spending. Alcohol, cigarettes, late nights. It was easier to escape reality than face it. Soon the numbers became impossible. Credit cards maxed out, loans unpaid. Collection calls started coming every day. Morning, afternoon, night. Brandon stopped answering the phone, but the silence didn't stop the problem. It only made it louder. Brandon's collapse didn't happen in one catastrophic moment. There was no explosion, no dramatic crash, just small decisions, one after another. Each one seemed harmless, until suddenly they weren't. The truth is that financial disasters rarely start with greed. Sometimes they start with pain, loneliness, loss, and the slow escape from reality. Brandon eventually began rebuilding his life. Slowly, very slowly. But the lessons stayed with him forever. Sometimes the most dangerous mistakes are not the big ones, they're the small ones we repeat every day. And now I'm curious about your opinion. At what exact moment did Brandon lose control? Was it the first drink, the first loan, or the moment he stopped opening his mail? Tell me what you think in the comments. Every week I break down another story. Sometimes a success, sometimes a collapse, so subscribe if you don't want to miss the next one.